shit, tearing it, imperative. Then I'm killing this mic no matter where I live. These derelict rappers acting the fool, this embarrassing is flagrant. That's the nature of this entertainment, and we can't even change it. Guilty before arraignment, now the system tainted. But when we speak, they all laugh at us. And y'all wonder why I'm lacking trust. Try to fight a giant with attorneys that can back them up. That's church versus science, both sides start acting up. I'm late on my assignment, hopping up a mile high, climbing, obviously never silent. New alignment, I'm defiant, can I describe it? Used to describe it as a young graffiti artist. Before the beard, I always got carded. Hit every bar, even though my bar's been the hardest. The scars on my face, and I ain't always been the smartest. But I'll show you where my heart is. I said I'll show you where my heart is. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will ever see. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will ever see. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. I can show you where
the type of guy that would ride with the breeze. I'm higher than most people. I'm cold and icicle freeze. I'm liking to Mike Tyson. I'm a bison, a beast. I'm hot like Jamaica, like right by the beach. My pops is from a spot where they're fighting for peace. 8 years old, out there watching people fight in the streets. All these sirens only make the violence increase. Yeah, we're still not loving police. It's that bright young American, nice, dumb, arrogant. Tight on a mic, but he might need a therapist. Heart full of kerosene, head full of fairy tales. Said that you're my homie, you don't know me, but I know you very well. Roll back on some West Coast shit. This whole track is wetter than your dress code kiss. About to hit the track, running on some retro fit. I guess I'll lit, I guess I'll bitch, now let's go.
Show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will.
Yes, it's Tuesday. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a little sports nonsense and whiskey. Cheers. How we doing, fellas? Pinky, Robert, always
gentlemen. It is a wonderful Tuesday in the neighborhood.
Let's go. Oh, don't get too hyped, boys. We got a long show. You better save some of that energy for us.
Oh, so much. So long, man. So long.
It's been a week, man. It's only Tuesday.
It's only
I hear that. I hear that. So, look, people, a little slow right now in the sports world. There's not a ton going on. Olympics start Friday with the opening ceremonies. We'll discuss that. There are some events which I absolutely hate, and I will never figure this out for why they do this, but there are some events starting tomorrow before the actual opening ceremonies. I don't know why they just don't move up the opening ceremonies, but whatever. So there's that. We'll talk a little. Baseball is in full swing after the All-Star break, and there's a couple storylines I think are worth keeping an eye on. We'll mention them quickly. Xander Schauffele went to town on Royal Troon and the back nine. We'll talk about that for a brief moment. You know it's going to be heavy football. Pinky's going to be ecstatic. We're going to go deep on the NFC West. And a little basketball, just a couple little conversations that I want to bring up. One's going to be super controversial, and I'm going to drop it on the boys and see what they have to say. And we'll go from there. Good times.
You do it.
Good times, baby. It's Tuesday. Hey. I already poked the bear, too. Robert, just in case you're wondering, I poked the bear real good earlier around like 2 o'clock this afternoon. So I know he's riled and ready.
He just wanted to make sure I was still awake, and I was.
I missed it then. I mean, I had some things going on this afternoon.
It was one of our fantasy league group chats, so it's not anything.
Oh, okay, so not something I was involved with. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. All right, cool. So I didn't miss anything. I like it.
I just wanted to make sure that he knew that his Miami team finally took off because Nebraska gave him a helping hand. I just wanted to let him know. That's all.
There you go. I mean, fair enough. So Pinky's ready to say some words. So before we even get there, do we have some nonsense to go over here real quick?
I mean, shoot from the hip, my guy. What do you got?
Well, Pinky, in the time. So I ended up leaving 45 minutes late from work. So that was great. So it was awesome. I got home though and found out that my Friday evening is available, and I just got tickets to the IMAX show to go see Deadpool and Wolverine. Woohoo! So I'm not going to miss opening weekend. So I'm actually pretty stoked about that because I was pretty nervous there. Looking forward to that. So the boys finished. So Caleb, Pinky, let's get on it. Wait, Caleb, I don't think you watched The Boys, do you?
Oh yeah. Oh,
Okay,
very
no,
much so.
perfect. So
yeah,
let's get on
but
this. So we
that's one of the
can.
wife's favorite shows. So that's
Ah,
not. I'm about this close from being able to just watch The Acolyte by myself. She's almost
Fair
given
enough.
that green
Fair
light.
enough. Yes.
But The Boys is that's a no-fly zone for Alone.
Okay.
That's a must-watch together. So
Well, definitely need to get on The Acolyte as soon as possible. Really need to talk about that with you.
yeah.
Really need to talk about that with you. What else? Oh, told you all about this in the group chat. I believe it was yesterday. Those About to Die. 10 out of 10. That is I haven't read the book, so I that's just coming from a pure watching.
Holler.
Yeah, hey, what's up?
Translate it for us. We appreciate it.
I have not read the source material, so I don't know much about it, but I know a lot of the Roman history and things, and I love this series so far. Anthony Hopkins is great. Ivan Ryan from Game of Thrones, who played Ramsay Snow, is in it. Great series. I was hooked from the start. It really starts with the bang. It's on Peacock, so definitely check
Yeah,
it.
it's on our now really giant large list. But yeah, I'm a history nut, so that will definitely, and all things
the Flavian Amphitheater being built. Oh man, dude, that's great.
Rome, Spartacus, I mean the movie Gladiator, all those movies, like all those.
Gladiator 2's coming, man.
Not happy about that. Awesome. I'm still not happy about that. I'll go watch it. And I hope it kicks ass, but I'm not happy about it. Hollywood needs to learn that some things are just meant to be its own entity. You don't have to go. They're just trying to make bucks, right? I mean, I get it, but
let's wait. Let's wait and reserve judgment. Once we see it, if it's an obvious cash grab, we'll know it.
Well, I'd like to think it's not going to be an obvious cash grab. It's like the first Matrix. That needed to be it, in my opinion. You didn't do anything after that. All we needed was the first one. So, Gladiator is such a perfect movie, standalone. There's no reason to build off of it.
I can agree with Gladiator, because obviously at the end of Gladiator, there's an ending to it, versus Matrix. It
was definitive.
Opens an entire world to explore.
That's what I loved about it being its own entity, though, was the way it ended, left it open-ended to interpretation, to thoughts, to ideas. And then
hold on. So then how do you feel about John Wick then?
Oh, Wick is epic.
So what's the difference there?
What do you mean?
That first ending. The first one ended, and why did we need a sequel then?
But there's no story there.
It still brought a lot of world to build on, though, with the codes and things like that.
See, I don't think the first Wick ended. When I saw the end of that, I go, okay, now what's going to happen?
Well, John Wick 2 is a total cash grab. 3 and 4, they elevated and took it to another level.
Sure, because 2 happened. Because of a cash grab. I mean, 2 is my favorite. I'm not going to deny that.
Cash grab.
2 is a cash grab.
2 is like an absolute cash grab.
It's weak as hell. It's not on the same level as the first one. And then the third one's better than both of them. And then the fourth one's even better than that.
Oh.
So,
well, okay.
They're all great, but I'm just saying, like, 2 felt rushed, and it didn't feel like it really like took it to the next level, where 3 and 4, each one went to the next level.
Yeah, I did not feel that way after 2, but fair. Oh. But yeah, I felt like the Matrix ended in a way that left it open for interpretation on purpose, to make people think, to make you wonder, to make you suspend disbelief. And then you brought in the second and third ones, and I feel like it totally took away from what that first one's aura was.
I think they just got away from, like, they went too far down the rabbit hole in the second and third one, and then there was no way to really, tie it up in a nice bow. The third one's awful. The fourth one is just one of the worst things I've ever watched.
Not great. That
was really bad.
So yeah, there's just some movies that I feel like they were so unique and so original and so well thought out and executed that doing anything on top of it was not the right way to go. So, you know, we'll see what Gladiator 2 ends up being. I mean, there's obviously more to that world, as we know from history, and that Caesar and how things play out after that reign. So there is opportunity. I understand that. But it's also one of those things where if you look at it through history's lens, there was a time where the arena and the gladiators were huge, and then it kind of died off a little bit in Rome. And then the tyrannical emperor brought it back to kind of control the masses again and make it really big. And then after that, it kind of died again and never really came back. So that's where I'm kind of wondering, is this a situation where they're just kind of throwing history out the window and saying, oh yeah, this thing was super common and went on forever, and they're just kind of throwing the history out the window? Or is this more showing the last decline of the arena and the gladiator? So a lot of questions in my mind, but again, that's just because of me being I won't say a history buff, but I do love learning and knowing about how things came to be.
And what I'll say from, you know, I love Gladiator. That movie is, again, like you said, a perfect movie. I just don't think that it needs to be Gladiator 2.
Right.
It could be
Exactly.
something totally different,
Yes.
and that's fine. But it does not need to be Gladiator 2.
Call it the Coliseum or
something else. Yeah. But this is, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, and I'll have to double check my IMDb list on this, but I'm pretty sure Gladiator on its own is in the top 250 of IMDb movies to watch before you die.
Oh, it should be.
It doesn't break the 100. I know that, but I'm almost positive it's in the 250.
Yeah, man, that.
And that, again, that's why I'm like, when I watched this Tekken trailer, I was excited. Don't get me, like, it looks great. But right. Denzel's already ruined it for me.
I mean, like, seriously, the thing is, you know, that line in Gladiator, and I had to pull it up because it's just so epic to me, is one of the best single monologues in all of cinema history, in my opinion. My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, commander of the armies of the North, general of the Felix legions, and loyal servant to the true emperor. Obviously, it goes on a little bit, but I mean, it doesn't get much better than that delivery from Russell Crowe in any movie. I mean, that's just my opinion, but I remember seeing that for the first time. I believe I was a junior in high school when that came out. Just epic. Just when that line came out and he took off that mask and looked at the emperor in the face and delivered that, it was chills. I will never forget that. Now, take that for what it's worth, and everybody gets their own opinion, because I remember the first time I saw Fast and Furious in theaters and walked out with my dad, and even my dad was jonesing to, like, get in the car and go really fast. So, you know, any movie can give you any feeling, right?
I take back everything that I just said. Gladiator ranks number 35 on the top 2.
Good. That I was going to say, it would be in my top 100.
Which, followed by the next 2 slots are Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse and Dune Part 2. So, fuck yeah.
Solid. That's a solid little group right there. I need that third Spider-Man. I just watched the second one again last night, actually, and I need that third one.
Every time I watch that movie, I feel like I'm a reborn person, because I'm just like...
No joke. I was watching it last night, and I got about 3/4 of the way through it, just enjoying myself, just enjoying the entertainment and the quality of that film. And all of a sudden it dawned on me, and I remembered, oh shit, this movie doesn't have an ending.
Nope.
I was like, damn it. Like, I was getting to the end and I was like, damn it.
You're left with so much.
Good
But that
times.
is, and one thing that I will say that I do respect is that the producers came out and said that there will be no AI used for producing this, which I am super excited about.
Yeah, go figure. Somebody actually has a little pride in their work. Wild.
This is a great, like, this is by far one of the best superhero stories to have happened in the last decade.
Oh, it's the best Spider-Man, and it's not even close.
Completely.
There is nothing.
There is no
close.
better Spider-Man.
The only thing that is comparable, and it's not in the same level, but just comparable as far as quality and enjoyment and the way it was done, was that mid-90s Spider-Man animated series.
Yeah.
Um,
Which, I will say, Pinky, just so you know, Infinity War ranks 63. I was just curious.
so
We talked about that earlier.
yeah, I've been vocal about how I'm not as far as like Saturday afternoon movie watching on TV and stuff like that. I'll watch the Tobey Maguires and I'll watch the who's the other guy?
Andrew Garfield.
Andrew Garfield, and the Tom Hollands and stuff. I think Tom Holland's movies were the best of those movies, but they turned me off a little bit with his the No Way Home. Look, I know you guys like it. To me, it was way too campy, too fan servicey.
Well, from what I hear, you won't want to watch Deadpool then, because a guy I saw was like, "I don't like the
I'll
movie,
definitely watch Deadpool.
and
That's
it's a
what
lot
All
Deadpool
fan
is.
service.
That's what Deadpool is. Like that is it. Like that's what you expect to be handed on an epically magnificent level. That's just what he does.
Robert, when are you going on Friday?
10:40.
At night?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm at 9:30, so we can message later.
Cool.
And
Yeah, I'm
Deadpool
in IMAX.
doing the whole across the different universes and things of that nature.
So this Wolverine is from a different universe.
Yeah, it's not the night.
Aware.
616.
616.
So I think Ryan Reynolds is a genius, in my opinion, and he's going to help reset Marvel with this movie. And if they're smart, based on what I've been hearing from Kevin Feige, that's exactly what they're going to use it for.
Have you listened to any of the interviews this week from Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds? They've been doing their press tour and all that. So it's pretty funny because Hugh Jackman talks about when he finished Logan. It was like 3 days after he had made the announcement, "I'm not doing Wolverine ever again." He has a private screening with his family and watches Deadpool. And he immediately is like, whoa. Like, he was like, I could see us doing, like, he was like, it's like another 48 hours with Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte. And he names off all these buddy movies.
Yep.
And then he goes, but I was being stubborn and just saying, well, I said what I said, so I can't go back on it. And then he said in 2022, he had been having some, he's got adult children now, and he's been having some conversations with them about, like, if you could do anything, what would you do? And what kept coming to mind to him was, I would do Deadpool. He said he literally had the thought, I need to do this movie. He pulled over while he was driving and called Ryan Reynolds and told him, I'm in, let's do this movie. Which was amazing timing for Ryan Reynolds, who had a meeting the next day to pitch the movie that him and the director had basically thought about, which was not Wolverine. So it worked out amazing for the whole situation. But it was fun hearing that. And then, of course, like, just listening to them talk about friendship and how, like, their ability to be friends and have fun. And you just go, it's really cool to see people that are famous that can actually have true friendships with each other. So it's really
Agreed.
Nice.
Now,
And
go
ahead, Caleb.
And then you jump in here. To add to that, and I might be wrong on this, but if I remember correctly, one of the interviews I was watching, I believe it was Ryan Reynolds, but I've seen so many of them, I'm kind of muddling them up, so I apologize if this is incorrect. But I believe it was Ryan Reynolds and talking about superhero movies and saying that he believes Wolverine was the perfect superhero movie. Start to finish, the way it was shot, the storyline, everything was just perfect. To him, that is the top of the mountain of superhero movies.
The Japanese one?
No, the Old Man Logan storyline.
Logan. Well, that's different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Logan. Sorry,
Yeah.
I said Wolverine. My bad.
You had me
Logan.
nervous there for a second.
Yeah,
man.
my bad. Wolverine was bad. Logan. Sorry. He said
Yes. Logan is amazing.
The best superhero movie ever made. It was at the top, and that's what he was striving to be able to tell a story on that level. And that's why he wanted to do this so bad with him, because Deadpool and Wolverine are so tied in at the comics, and then being able to see that and take that and mix it with Deadpool and be able to use that R rating, if you will, and truly tell the story the right way. And that's one of the things that has me excited.
Oh, actually, hold on. Because Pinky didn't bring it up, which means he didn't see it. And I failed as a friend.
Occasionally you do.
No, I'm really failing as a friend right now, actually. I just need to figure out what it was. 1 second. What I was gonna say, Caleb, on that note was watching the press tours for Twisters with Glenn Powell and Tom Cruise was very reminiscent of what you were just talking about, seeing those friendships and things like that. Because if you go back to Top Gun Maverick, when they were doing that, Glenn Powell auditioned to be Rooster, didn't get it, and they created Hangman for him. And then he and Tom Cruise have had this relationship to see that come off screen too, and almost like Tom Cruise coaching him, almost, it seems like in some cases. It's really cool.
Right. And Glenn Powell's one of the hottest actors in Hollywood right now.
Yes.
He's in everything. His movie on Netflix is actually enjoyable. Hitman. That's enjoyable.
I wanted to see that because I know it's based on a true story, and I was kind of intrigued by it.
He does a good job. It's fun.
But anyway, so Pinky, I know you're not super involved with Blumhouse or anything like that, but Blumhouse is a big horror production company. And the reason why that's important is because this was confirmed. What's today? So yesterday, at 10 o'clock in the morning, via Blumhouse, King Spawn is being produced. So with Matt Mixon, Malcolm Spellman, and Scott Silver, based on the characters created by Todd McFarlane. Ooh. Sorry, I failed you as a friend, but this has been out for almost over 24 hours.
Ooh. What am I going to do with you, Robert?
I know. Throw me in the garbage. I'm trash.
I deserve better.
No,
I know you do.
I think we can all agree the original Spawn is a bad movie, and it's so bad it's awesome.
It's so bad it's great,
right?
It's like
the HBO series is awesome.
Flash Gordon.
Wait, there's an HBO series for Spawn?
Yeah, and it's a cartoon. It's animated. Oh. It's awesome.
I thought you were talking about live action, and I somehow missed that. No, I know all about the animated stuff. I'm all well aware of, but it'll be interesting to see with how far studios have come with being able to tell a superhero movie and make it realistic now, whereas before it was always really hard to suspend that disbelief. Now they've gotten to the point where it's very realistic, if you will. Spawn is an epic story to be able to tell.
I've got my tattoo planned. I've got a sleeve, Hulk, Deadpool, Wolverine, and I would add Spawn on there if I thought I had enough room. I don't think I have enough room here, so Spawn might get his own somewhere. I love Spawn. Spawn, Deadpool, Wolverine, Hulk, Lady Death. It's one of my favorites. So, I don't know if the wife would let me get that one, but it's debatable, maybe.
I mean, you give me Hulk and Anakin, and nobody's beating me. So,
I've got my Stormtrooper on my chest here right now. I'm gonna do a Darth Maul one. I just don't know what I want to do.
Just got to find the right real estate for it.
I gotta get dollars.
That's my problem. I have plenty of real estate.
I got no problem with real estate or ideas. I just need dollars.
I think I'm not taking that much PTO that I could take, because I do have like 4 weeks worth of PTO I could take. I'm saving it up, and I'm gonna use it for a tattoo when it gets paid out to me.
Smart.
All right.
So that was some good nonsense, guys. But anyway.
Oh, there's plenty more where that came from, ladies and
No,
gentlemen.
there's so much. I could go on forever if you
We could ramble on that, but I was thinking that we might be able to get this to an hour and 45 minutes tonight.
Yeah, no, let's do it.
All right,
do
you want
it.
to do that, Pinky? Here we go.
Let's get her done.
I'll give the people the quick sports rundown of the week, if you will.
Caleb,
and then
go.
I'll throw out the super controversial question for you guys and see what you have to say about it.
Okay.
Baseball. I'm insanely intrigued by Mr. Bobby Witt Jr. with the Kansas City Royals. I cannot ever remember a dude participating in the home run derby and then coming out of the All-Star break on the hottest streak I may have ever seen or remembered. He's batting like 800. He's got like 5 home runs, like 6 RBIs.
Did you see what they did to him? It was either yesterday or today. He was trying to hit for the cycle, and they had to literally hit him.
Yeah, they didn't let him get a single. He needed a single for the cycle, and they didn't let him have it. So he is just on fire right now. One of the best shortstops in the game, and he's young. The shortstop position is healthy right now in Major League Baseball. With him and guys like Ellie De La Cruz and a few other names out there that are still big time. So
De La Cruz, he's on the Reds, right?
Yep.
Okay.
And another crazy stat about Bobby Witt Jr. is there are some people out there now who are saying he is the fastest man in baseball, even faster than De La Cruz. So it's awesome to see a lot of the young talent. You got Gunnar Henderson out with the Orioles, and there's just a lot of young talent. Then you've got some guys who feel like they might be kind of young talent. Maybe they haven't been in the league as long as it feels like they have, or it doesn't feel like they've been in the league as long as they have. And that would be Mr. Shohei Ohtani. And that dude is doing things that you're not supposed to be able to do when you're supposed to be rehabbing from an elbow injury.
Right.
Now, they have said, and they've tried to make it very clear, he did not have Tommy John surgery. That is not what he had. They have been emphatic about that. But whatever procedure he did have, said he could not pitch for the year. So whatever it was, it's still a major surgery on that elbow. And yet he's going out there batting over 300, over 30 home runs. Just epic as a DH this season. To the point where he very well could be the NL MVP as a designated hitter. That's crazy. That's crazy.
I think there's an argument to be made that Ohtani, now that Willie Mays has passed away, may be the greatest living player, retired or active.
I really want to say yes, and you know how I feel about Ohtani. I think he is the greatest baseball talent to ever play the game because of what he does. I can't call him the greatest baseball player yet, though, because
living.
Well, I'm just saying, period. I will call him the greatest talent, but I don't think I can call him the greatest baseball player right now. And I know that's kind of splitting hairs, but the reason for that is because he's doing half of what Aaron Judge does right now. And Aaron Judge has better batting numbers. Now, I say that because Aaron Judge is playing the field, and he's a really good defender as well. If Ohtani is able to come back and pitch next year and is able to pitch the same level that he has been, he will instantly become the best baseball player in the world. But I have to give the slight edge to Judge because he's not just batting, he is playing the field. And he's batting as well as Ohtani is. Slightly better, actually. So that's why I would give a slight edge to Aaron Judge at this moment. But the idea in the back of the head that Ohtani could also possibly be the best pitcher in the league and then be considered one of the best hitters in the league, that would throw him way over the top in my mind. So if he can come back and pitch, give me 3 years, he can give me 3 more years of pitching and batting the way he is right now, he will be at the top of my list of greatest baseball players ever.
Fair.
Now, there are some other baseball storylines, and it is starting to ramp up. And, come middle, end of August, we'll start giving you a little bit more to pay attention to as the playoffs start developing and things of that nature. So stay
It
with
will
us.
be quick, though. It'll be quick.
Yeah. No, we're not diving in and dissecting baseball. It's just not what we do. Especially because I don't need 1,000 people coming at me telling me I'm an idiot because I don't agree with baseball tradition. So we'll
There's something to be said for that.
We'll give you a little bit, not a lot. Basketball. The Olympics are starting. People are trying to talk about Team USA as having a scare against South Sudan. Only beat them by 1. They needed a late LeBron layup to win the game. What are we worried about? It's a warm-up game. It's an exhibition. It meant
almost lost to
0.
Germany.
Absolutely nothing for the men's basketball team. Now, props to South Sudan. They came in and they took the game seriously, and they wanted to see how they measured up. And they got a real good taste of what they're capable of as we move forward in the future for that country and those players. But if the game meant something, I have no doubt in my mind that would have been an epic blowout, okay? The other thing people need to realize is while Team USA might not go out and beat everybody by 30 or 40 like the Dream Team did, there's a reason for that. It's because the world has started playing basketball since the Dream Team. And they have gotten better. And they have developed in their own countries with the sport. But to think anybody is on the same level of talent as the United States team is absurd. The reason the games will be close, and the reason I truly believe Team USA will sweep their way to the gold, but I think the games will be close, is because you have teams versus individuals put together. Team USA is a bunch of dudes playing hero ball together. That's really what it is. While these other teams are really trying to play basketball, a team game. And for anyone that's ever played basketball, you know very well, if you have a team playing against a bunch of individuals, that levels that playing field pretty quickly in a lot of situations. Now, the talent will usually come out on top over just a team. But because of that, I believe these games are going to be close, and people are going to be trying to talk about how Team USA didn't have it, or they almost lost, or look at this collapse, or they're not as good as we thought they were. Keep those storylines in the back of your mind because they're gonna be there, and they're gonna be nonsense and completely baseless, but they're coming. Team USA wins the gold, hands down. It's not gonna be much of an issue. Now, excuse me. Whew, need a little break here before we go into this.
Oh boy.
Sounds like what he's going to say is going to be really dumb.
No, it's the person
You're
that
such
said
an
it.
ass.
The person that said it. I'll just give you the guys. WNBA All-Star Weekend just happened.
Right.
Great viewership. Congratulations to them. I am worried that that's the end of their momentum, though, because they're going to have a big break now for All-Star and then the Olympics. When they come back, football's kicking off.
Mm-hmm.
And I find it hard to believe that they're going to be able to build off of any momentum they had after that. This break is going to kill that. And the fact that Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese aren't on the Olympic team. So that storyline has now stopped. And we're not going to have it for 3 weeks. And I think it's going to be really hard to bring that back up into the general public and keep those same numbers. So unfortunately, what they had, I believe, is ending. Okay? On top of that, there was a comment made by Brittany Griner that seemed to go unnoticed in the national media, or it was unnoticed on purpose. And you guys can tell me what you think here in a moment when I tell you. But it made my jaw drop. And the comment was in reference to a reporter talking to her about her newborn child.
Oh, I know exactly where you're going.
And it was said something along the lines of, how is mom going to feel, when she gets to hang out and hold the newborn baby? And kind of sheepishly and like you should know better way, Brittany Griner corrected the reporter and said, "Pops, my child's going to call me Pops. I'm dad." So the reason my jaw dropped was not because of that comment. If that's how she feels and that's how she wants to handle things, more power to you, Brittany. Do your thing. Enjoy your family, your loved ones. You know how we feel about that. My jaw dropped, though, because there are people saying that she was basically not on the camera, but off the camera, then telling the reporter that she identifies as a man. And if that's the case, shouldn't she be banned from playing in the WNBA?
Yeah. But that's all I'm going to say.
Like,
and I'm
can
gonna leave it
you...
at that.
I'm trying to be, very even-keeled about this. I'm not trying to draw controversy or stir things up. I'm trying to be very matter-of-fact about this subject. Identify however you want to. Be who you want to be. But if you're going to say you identify as a man and you're a man, how can you continue to play in the WNBA?
I mean, I think that goes back to what we've discussed in the past about, transgender athletes and their rights and how that's all viewed. Physically, she's still a female. So, as well as, again, I think our issue in the past was men who were physically larger, stronger, faster, identifying as a woman and
the natural physiology and biology of the situation. Sure.
Being in women's sports and then dominating was not fair. It was not equal competition.
Absolutely.
So I think she hasn't crossed that threshold physically to be banned from the WNBA. However she wants to identify. All right, whatever makes her happy, that's fine. But because she's not physically, I guess if she was taking a bunch of testosterone and other illegal substances to get bigger and stronger and more towards a man, now I think maybe that's a conversation. But
I mean, did you actually hear the interview?
I didn't. I've never heard of any of this.
That was for Caleb.
Yep.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Yep. I read the transcript and went back and listened to it just to make sure I caught the context. And context is pretty obvious of what she's trying to say.
The context is very clear. The tone of voice gives the definitive answer.
I agree.
I'm leaving it at
I
that.
agree.
I don't have any respect for this person anyway. That's all I have to say.
There's a lot of people out there who feel that way because of situations she went through in international waters.
No, I'm not gonna go there. That's all I have to say.
That's fair. But again, my jaw dropped because my first thought literally was, you don't get to have your cake and eat it too when it comes to these things. You don't. You cannot say you're a man and then continue to collect a check from the WNBA. I'm not good with that. I'm good with you being whoever you want to be.
Completely agree.
But I'm not good with you talking out of both sides of your mouth. Keep in mind, this is the same female. I'm going to call her female because playing in the WNBA. I'm sorry. Like, you don't get to go both ways. Who said she could beat DeMarcus Cousins at his prime. And
that's foolish.
Talent-wise, one of the best big men to ever play in the WNBA. One of the best big men to ever play in the NBA. There's zero chance she would beat him. So it blows my mind that went without any coverage. Any coverage from anyone.
I just don't think...
It got to me, so it got some attention because I saw it.
Okay? I didn't see it. It wasn't on Twitter that I saw, but then my Twitter feed has been,
Let's not go there, Pinky.
Butts, sports, pop culture, politics, more butts. So Brittany Griner didn't come up.
Well, that
I don't
that
know
was
where I
my-
saw that, but I
Look.
saw it, and I just couldn't. I was, yeah.
If you know
but
anything
Caleb,
about
I
us,
had the
you know we're
same
going to talk
reaction.
about all subjects. We don't shy away or back away from anything. We try to discuss everything with an open mind and try to give you a full point of view with our opinions included. I felt
But-
this was something that went unnoticed for whatever reason, and it needed to have
I mean,
a little bit of a discussion.
it's like Dana White slapping the shit out of his wife, and then like nobody talked about it. Like it just like disappeared.
I mean, if we want to really also bring this into a more, I mean, I know Pinky, you don't really care about the Olympics, but I mean, the Olympic Committee made it very clear for for competing sports on where they stand on that with the whole, what was it, the Leah Thomas, I think is the name, situation with the swimming deal.
The Olympics actually goes even further back than that. I cannot remember the person's name off the top of my head. I believe it was a South American male sprinter who was transitioning to female and running with the females, ended up finding out that she had too much testosterone in her system. She was banned for a while, fought it in the international courts, international sports courts, won, and then it was overturned, and I can't remember where it left off. But that was 8 years ago when that first started coming up, I think. So this is not a new thing for the Olympics, but they do seem to be. It feels like everybody else is following what the Olympics sets. That's kind of how I feel. And so whatever guidelines the Olympics sets is then what everyone else kind of uses for their baselines.
Which the NCAA should have been following to begin with, because those were the Olympic standards anyway.
I still believe that, look, female sports were created basically because females weren't competitive enough within the male sports. So then you started getting female sports. Title IX came about, started creating that equality for those sports to exist. And, you know, for every men's sport, there's a female sport. It doesn't have to be apples to apples. You just kind of need the same amount within colleges. And female sports grew a lot.
I mean,
I have a hard time with people transitioning from one gender to the other and then going into that other sport. It, to me, is unfair. And it just comes down to basic science. If you grew up a man, your body, your muscles, your structure, your bone density, everything is different. Everything. So no matter how many injections or supplements or doses of anything you take to reduce that, it still doesn't change the physiological aspects that have already set in. Those are just, they're there. You can't get rid of them. So I still believe that at this point in time, the most fair thing to do would be to you either compete in the sport that you were originally born to, for lack of a better way of saying it, or there needs to be a transgender, what's the word I'm trying to say?
League or I don't, you know,
section,
Yes.
division.
Why am I drawing a blank on the? But there needs to be its own entity: male sports, female sports, transgender sports. And that's the way you make it fair. I have a hard time thinking about my daughter growing up and playing with someone like my son who grew up a male his entire life and then at 17, 18, 19 decides to transition. Once you've gone through puberty, your body is forever changed. And there's no going back from that. And that creates an innate advantage. And for anyone to deny that, I think is foolish. And that's where I have a problem. Not with people's choices or their decisions, but just the idea that sports is supposed to be played on equal footing. The base level is supposed to be played on equal footing. And when that's taken away, I have a problem with that.
I 100% agree with that, Caleb. Sorry. I had a situation with the whiskey. Oh.
Needed a slight just like conversation.
I think we're done with that. Moving on. Oh, wait, he got muted. You got muted, Caleb.
The opening ceremony. I'm muted?
No.
I thought you were talking and then you weren't, like it wasn't coming through, but
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
You're good.
Weird. Okay, so I'm not muted?
You're good now.
Okay. Little disappointed in Robert because he chose to do something else on Friday evening. I understand, but still
Me
a little
too.
disappointed. Opening ceremonies are Friday, and they're going to be epic. I truly
I'm going
believe.
to a 10:40 showing.
Right.
Oh,
he
so
can
you'll
still.
It's in
still watch.
Paris.
All right. Well, I just figured maybe you'd be going out.
Screw-
You weren't going to stay. Okay.
No.
All right.
I'm
Yeah.
going to watch it.
Okay, but
Screw
here's
you.
the problem. NBC's you understand. NBC is the worst sports coverage ever when it comes to the Olympics, and they
Oh,
don't
yeah.
air it live.
Completely.
It's going to be in prime time at 7 p.m.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Never mind. I take back everything. Robert's good.
I love the Olympics, bro.
I know
We're good.
you do. That's why I was a little disappointed. Okay, never mind. Take it all back.
Yeah. While you two guys are talking Olympics, I'm just going to drink.
Yeah, go for it. I'm not talking
That's
Olympics,
fine.
though. I'm just saying opening ceremonies start on Friday, and the fact that they're doing it on the Sen, I think is an insanely awesome idea, and I can't wait to see how it plays out. Opening ceremonies are some of the best thing in all of sports. Just because of the grandeur and the storytelling, and then seeing all the athletes come out and parade in, and the torch being lit, everything that goes into it. So the fact that Paris is doing this on a river, just the epicness of that thought and the idea going through.
Oh, you did cut out there.
See?
Yeah,
See?
hang on.
Crazy. You're not crazy. Oh,
I knew it wasn't crazy, man.
You're not.
Last time he was making like hand signals, and I was just like, "There's nothing coming out of his mouth. I see it moving."
he's giving us some baseball signals. They don't mean
Can you hear me
anything.
now?
Only 3 of them
Can you
mean
hear me now?
something. We got you.
So
Yeah,
just
I
realized
got you.
somehow my earpods are randomly connecting to my iPad somehow. No idea why.
Oh.
So that I
Somebody's
just
playing
saw
with
I
them.
just saw the message pop up, and so I realized what you guys were talking about. My bad. So yeah, the epicness of it I think is really cool. Check it out. Side note, real fast: Robert, men's U.S. team plays tomorrow afternoon.
For basketball?
Soccer.
For the Olympics?
Yep.
I thought the game.
Like I said, some events start before the opening ceremonies do. This is one of them.
I mean, I'm excited to watch the games because it is football, but I really don't care about the U.S. team until there is an actual person in charge that gives a damn.
Well, that's not going to happen anytime soon. And it's not the national team that plays at the Olympics. It's usually like the U20 team.
Which the U20 team has been playing great anyway.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
really concerned. But I
I'm
know.
just saying it's not, for those that are going to watch it tomorrow, don't go in there thinking you're going to see Captain America and the boys. That's
you
not
won't see
what you're going to
Pulisic.
see. So
Pulisic's enjoying his time off and relishing the news that Berhalter's been fired.
yeah, he's pretty stoked about that, it looks like. So that's the quick sports rundown, Pinky. I think that's all I got right now.
Oh, they're playing France. That's going to be... France is going to kill us.
I don't
He
know.
already
Our
crushed- he already
U
crushed
teams
everybody's
usually
hopes
do
and
pretty
dreams.
good on the international level. It's once they get to the national team that all of a sudden things fall apart, it seems like.
Robert was like, "Oh, we're gonna lose again. We suck again."
We always suck. It's not again. It just happens.
All right, boys. So it's time to move on to what we really want to talk about.
Football.
It's football.
The American
All
football.
teams, by the end of the week, all teams will be in training camp if they are not already. Videos are already coming out. Everybody's hyped. Everybody's 0-0. Everybody's feeling good. No major injuries yet, so hopefully we can stay healthy. The worst thing is to lose guys like in a training camp practice. So, fingers crossed.
Like if you lose them in an off-season workout, okay, like it happens. Like The season hasn't started. You'll figure it out. But for whatever reason, once you get to training camp and that happens, it's like an epic disaster of an issue.
Before we talk about the NFC West, I loved Caleb's message to us in the group chat this morning. There is a Joe Burrow MVP season on the horizon. I couldn't quite decide. I looked at the picture. I couldn't quite decide. Was he Slim Shady or was he Cody Rhodes? I don't know. It was pretty close.
So the
Either way.
shade gives more of a Cody Rhodes vibe than
No,
he
that
does
was a
the
shady for sure.
No.
Joe Shiesty ain't pulling no Cody Rhodes vibe. Cody Rhodes is nice and amicable and wants to be well received. Joe Shiesty's going out there to ruin people's lives.
Right. I love Joe Burrow's aura, attitude, personality. Like, he's my guy. I just dig him.
So I'm just gonna settle this argument real quick. Pinky, you're gonna check Twitter.
I'm checking Twitter. What am I checking Twitter for?
Because you're on the sports page, right?
Yeah. What do you mean? Our page?
What are we trying to do?
Yeah, our page. So Cody Rhodes also posted the picture of Joe Burrow with his belt and tattoo on his neck, and it looks perfect.
Yeah, but that's Cody Rhodes. Look,
Nah,
I don't dislike Cody, but Cody's trying to find ways to stay relevant because the WWE has ruined his storyline multiple times. The general public is not aware of Cody Rhodes. You know what the general public is aware of? The death of Slim Shady that just released.
Which is hot fire.
Yeah.
Well, although it doesn't have like a real Slim Shady or Without Me, or it doesn't have one of those songs that I think you're gonna just like bump over and over again.
I think that's just, and I've had to think about this a few times now, Pinky. I think that's our nostalgia. Not so, because I've listened to it a few times now with my wife, and there's a couple on there that I could see myself bumping on a regular. But I just being honest, guys, this is going to sound crazy, but I don't listen to music that much anymore.
Yeah.
If I'm in the car, I'm listening to sports talk. Like that, I would much rather listen to that than music. So.
I mean, you got to pick your hobbies at some point.
Yeah, I listen to music quite a bit, but not quite on like Andy's got music on like
I got music
all the time.
I don't listen to it enough the way I used to, where I'll have the CD memorized in.
But I will say
a day and a half.
The Across the Spider-Verse album, memorized cover to cover.
Who? Which one?
The Spider-Verse album that Metro Boomin put out.
Oh yeah,
got
I don't
that
have
cover to cover.
No.
On Shady's new album, Toby's my favorite song.
It's a good song.
Toby gets me. I'm like, when he talks about Tobey Maguire got bit by a spider, I must have got bit by a goat. Like, I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah, that's one of them that I could see myself banging to, repeating on.
I like that one, and I like Evil. Evil's my other one that I really liked.
It's a good one too.
Great album. I think just the lyrics are so sharp throughout the album. So I don't feel like there's a lot of bangers, but there's like, if you listen to the lyrics, they're so sharp, they're so cutting, they're so not PC. It's everything we love about Slim Shady. And the fact that he was able to write such a great album at 51, like all of our hip hop stars from the past, after they've aged, they've never been able to regain that message that
it's not the age. It's the fact that most of them don't know how to transition away from rapping about the hood and the life and the grind.
But that was never, and again, that was never Eminem's thing either.
But so that's part of the reason why he's
case.
able to maintain and evolve, is because that wasn't what he built on. I relate this album more to a true hip hop album in my mind. I'm a big lyricist guy. So you go through my catalog and you'll see all the gangster rap and you'll see all the club bangers and all that stuff too. But what you'll also see, and more likely than not hear me playing in my car when I was rolling around, was the lyricists. The Rakims, the Talib Kwalis, the Mos Defs, the Jizzas, the Rizzas. That's the stuff that I was really playing. And so there would be people getting in my car and they'd be playing this. They'd be like, dude, play something that's going to pump us up. Play this, play that new single, play. And I was like, no. Shut up and listen. So that's what this new Eminem album is to me. It's more of that hip hop, lyrical, sit down and take it in and absorb what he's saying rather than just kind of mindlessly be bumping along and enjoying it, which I think is a crazy thought that Eminem could go from what he was to a true hip hop lyricist in that category. That's pretty crazy to me. But it is a banger. And that's why I fully believe, regardless of what Cody Rhodes wants to try and believe, Joe Burrow don't give a about Cody Rhodes. He cares about that Joe Shiesty and that Slim Shady, and he's coming to put work on people. That's what I think.
I think so. All right, NFC West. We got sidetracked again. Robert,
welcome to the show, people.
Would you like to start us off?
I personally think that the Seahawks are going to be in last for this.
Okay. Do tell.
Ooh.
So I feel like the Cardinals just have been slept on. The Cardinals used to be a pretty big force to reckon with, and I feel like they've been feeling it and have been really building up these last few years. And they are honestly one of the teams I'm actually excited to watch this year. And I just think the Seahawks are in the middle of a kind of a, I don't want to say a revamp, but maybe just a reboot a little bit. They're bringing in a new head coach. The team is still.
What do you mean?
Wait,
no?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
What do you mean no?
I know stuff too, Piggy. Screw you. All right.
The Seahawks are bringing in a new coach. You are right.
Thank you very little. Anyway,
we're gonna put his ass on mute for a change. We're gonna listen to Robert. Sit your ass down, sir.
The Seahawks are bringing in a new head coach, and with bringing in a new head coach comes a lot of constructive chaos. Good chaos, but constructive. And I personally don't think the Seahawks are going to be anything to tout. The 12th man is going to be the 12th man for right now. And when they become relevant after a year of rebuilding, then there'll be something to play. That's how I feel. So, Pinky, what are your thoughts now, since they're not getting a head coach?
Okay, sorry. I thought we were talking Cardinals for a second, and I was still on Cardinals. And
nope.
Okay,
we were talking about my take on the Seahawks. What is your take?
Stay up with the conversation.
So
take a moment. Take a little sip. Collect yourself. Okay.
I'll take a big sip.
Get your mind right.
I had some thoughts to share. I was ready for this question. I was preparing.
I would still say this is, and it's very close. I still think the Seahawks have a pretty damn good roster, that they will be better than the Cardinals. But it's going to be close. And I do believe, in my opinion, the Seahawks with the new coach now, I think he was at Michigan for a year, and then he's been with the Ravens a year, I think, before he got this job. So he did a great job with the Ravens, but is that a lot to say you're head coach worthy? I don't know. I'm wondering about. They've got the Dallas.
He was the defensive coordinator for the Ravens, Mike McDonald.
Mike McDonald, yes, and he brought over the Dallas Cowboys defensive line coach is the DC, but I think Mike McDonald's the DC overall. And then he brought Ryan Grubb, who was the offensive coordinator for University of Washington last season, which was really good. But again, it was really good in a Pac-12 that didn't play a lot of defense. So, like, how good is he? We'll find out. The roster's pretty good. My main thing about the Seahawks, Geno Smith did turn back into a pumpkin, which I
wouldn't say turn back into a pumpkin.
He did not play to that same level he played in that first year. That got him paid again.
Numbers are pretty similar.
When you watch the games, his turnovers were a lot higher, and it did not look great. So I think Mr. Smith is going to be on a very short leash, and it won't be long before Sam Howell is the starting quarterback of the Seattle Seahawks. That is my prediction. I don't know what week it's going to happen, but I do think Sam Howell is going to be the starting quarterback of the Seattle Seahawks. It's going to happen.
I don't disagree with you. I do, though, believe part of Gino's issues last year was coaching, not the playing. And I think that was kind of said as much from guys like DK Metcalf and some of the other offensive players.
Their offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron, must have done good enough because he got another job immediately with the Bears. So,
yeah, sort of Getsy.
I think Getsy's. Where is Getsy?
He's the offensive coordinator for the Raiders.
Where? Oh, the Raiders. Yeah, nobody cares.
Doesn't matter. He was rehired. Just because look, the NFL is notorious for recycling trash. We're well of that. Like that's been the history of the NFL for decades. Just because you get another job doesn't mean you're good at your job. Adam Gase, anyone? Adam Gase. So let's keep those things in mind. The offense as a whole regressed last year for whatever reason. I will say, though, I truly believe Seattle has the second best roster in the NFC West. Top to bottom, talent-wise, I believe Seattle has the second best roster behind San Francisco. Now, it's a big jump from Seattle to San Francisco, but I think the Rams and the Cardinals are closer in roster, talent-wise, and construction at the bottom, and Seattle kind of sits at number 2. The thing that moves the Rams above Seattle is the head coach and the quarterback. Those are what give you that little edge that even if I don't think your roster is quite as talented, those positions are so important and those positions are so much better than what Seattle has, in my opinion, that it gives them the slight edge. I am very excited to see what Seattle does this year. I don't have any basis for it, and there's literally nothing from numbers perspective in history that tells me that this is going to happen. This is just a complete feel and guess. But I do feel like DK Metcalf is going to have a big year to the point where he's going to insert himself into that potential top 5 wide receiver category in the league. I think he's that talented. The question is whether or not they use him in such a way that allows him to show that talent.
Yeah, I don't know if he'll get to that point. I think he does have that talent.
Yeah, right? But so again, like I said, there's no basis for that comment, right? It's a complete feel and guess. I just have this feeling, though, that, and maybe it's more of a, if you want to be successful as the new regime, that's something you need to do. Maybe that's more of what it is. But DK Metcalf, talent-wise, I believe is a top 5 receiver. And there's a lot of guys you can kind of put in that category. The wide receiver talent in the NFL is crazy these days.
Right.
But he hasn't been used in that way for whatever reason. So they don't try to get him the ball. They weren't very creative with their offensive play calling, I feel like, from a lot of the situations that they did. So I'm interested to see what the new staff does. And if you make DK a true one, they've got a couple solid running backs. Their offensive line is legit. Tyler Lockett is still there. Oh, yeah, by the way, they drafted Jackson Smith and Jigba last year, who could be a potential number 1 based on his potential talent and why he was drafted. So that offense is crazy, in my opinion. It's loaded. The quarterback is the question. Can Gino or Howell produce enough to make them all relevant? The defense is going to be really good. I don't see why we would be down on that defense. They've got plenty of talent. They've drafted plenty of really great talent. So are they going to show out and be what we expect from that talent, or are they going to be more of like the Packers, who
where would you
underachieve?
Where would you put them in the division right now? I have them third. Robert has them 4th.
I do have them 3rd. I do think they're the second most talented roster, but they're also younger than the Rams. So that inexperience could be an issue a little bit. And again, Sean McVay is on another level as a head coach. He is one of the top dudes in the league.
Let's not talk about the Rams.
I'm not. I'm just you asked me to compare, so I'm trying to tell you why I've got them 3rd. So because of Sean McVay and Matt Stafford, again, that's why I give that edge to the Rams. So I've got them third because of those situations.
I have the Cardinals last in the division, but I still think they're going to be better than they were last year. I went and saw a Cardinals game last year. I saw it firsthand. When they announced the starting defense in the stadium, I had only heard of one guy. And I've heard of, I feel like through the draft and my, the different things I pay attention to that I would know most of the players on their team, I knew one guy. And that defense against the Baltimore Ravens held its own. And it was only the offense with Josh Dobbs. Was it Josh? Yeah, it was Josh Dobbs because Kyler Murray wasn't back just yet. And it was right before they traded him to Minnesota. They're rich, or not rich, can't, but is it, what's his name?
Now I can only think of Rich. Thank you.
It's Gannon.
Let's go with Gannon.
I know it's Gannon. Gannon, he got so much out of that defense. They were competitive every week. I just don't think they have all the talent on that roster to truly compete yet. But I do think they're going to be good. If something happens and they're better than Seattle, it's not crazy, Robert. It's not. I think they could happen with a healthy.
I truly believe in a Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. I truly think of that. Again, we had this debate, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, about injuries aside. All that aside, I really think the Cardinals stand a chance. And that's why I put them above the Seahawks, because they're under a totally new brass, and the Seahawks are going to have to really find that chemistry together.
I will say, I would say I would put Kyler Murray as the better quarterback over Geno Smith. And usually the better quarterback wins out. But I don't think the rest of the roster, offense and defense, matches Seattle. Now, I really like, again, for the Cardinals, they picked up one guy that's worth mentioning. They picked up Jonah Williams, who's a left tackle, right tackle from the Bengals. Better than what they have. They've got Paris Johnson Jr. Now they've got him. They can put there's actually a competition of whether they're going to play left or right, but that's better than what they had there. They got Marvin Harrison Jr. in the draft. They actually had one of the sneakier drafts that people probably don't talk about. They got Marvin Harrison Jr., who's amazing. They got Darius Robinson, who plays on the edge as a sack guy. He's amazing. Max Melton at cornerback, who had some first-round grades on him. They drafted Trey Benson, which you could argue he was the best running back in the draft.
That's a big one.
And then they got Isaiah Adams, who's a really big guard as well. So they're still building that roster, and they're going to keep getting better and better. I just don't think they're there just yet, especially to compete with the Rams and the Niners at the moment. But like I said, I don't think it's crazy. Like I wouldn't call you an idiot for saying that Seattle will be worse and Arizona will be better than them. I think it'll be close. It's going to be close.
It's a close tie, honestly. I mean, there's no, and I am not going to fault you for that at all, because I really thought about this on my drive home because I had nothing else to do. So it really, I mean, thinking about what Carroll did over the last, umpteen years, and now to put Seattle under a new position, a head coaching position with, I don't want to say a freshman team, but a relatively new team, I would think.
The roster is pretty good. It's the coaching staff that's rookies.
So I just,
because the OC hasn't been an NFL OC. The DC hasn't been an NFL DC. He was a defensive line coach last year.
And
the head coach has not been a head coach before. Usually when you've got rookie coaches that haven't done their job before, it doesn't happen right away normally.
And that's why I'm seeing the right for me. that's at least writing on the wall.
I'm excited. When we get together, we'll depending on how timing works, maybe we'll do a Zoom meeting and we'll go through the schedule and do our predictions to see where that falls, because that'll be the determining factor of kind of how this falls out. But I think it's Arizona and Seattle fighting for 3-4. Either way you add it up. I can't put either of them above the Rams or the Niners.
Real quick, just off a side tangent on that, we can just fit that into our segment and we just predict the next week's schedule on who wins and who loses. Doesn't necessarily have to be a point spread, but we could just pick the winners. Just a thought.
Oh, that's all we do is pick winners, but it's way more than a show.
it's like a 2-hour thing, Robert.
We just do a week to week. No, we do a week to week. Like you just said, we do a Zoom meeting for that week. We do the week to week.
No. So before the season, we predict every single
I got
game.
you. I got it.
So then we announce our roster or our schedule prediction. We announce who's winning the division, who's making the playoffs. We have it all down.
Cool.
And then we can review it at the end and see how we did. Sometimes we do pretty good, and a lot of times we do really bad.
I already have you down, sir. You chose the Broncos schedule already.
Oh, that's gonna be fun.
That was written down. I was told and instructed.
We'll redo it. We'll redo it. Don't worry.
I've been holding on to that.
I like that. I like that he moved and still knows exactly where it is.
There are priorities.
That shit got unpacked real quick. PP.
There are priorities, and this is one of them.
Oh, that's good stuff, sir. That's good stuff. Look, here's the deal. I think Gannon, depending on what he does this year, could implement himself as one of the best coaches in the NFL, because the job he did last year, I believe, regardless of the record, he had that team playing a lot better than people expected, especially after Kyler Murray came back. And I know the scores don't always reflect that, but from what I watched with my eye test, that team was way more competitive than they should have been. I do think the addition of Marvin Harrison is huge. I think Trey McBride could end as a top 5 tight end real easy in fantasy. I think Kyler fully healthy for a season. I don't think there's a question that calling him a top 5 fantasy quarterback it's not crazy. I think that's well within his realm of possibilities. But what do you have outside of that? James Conner's really good when he's healthy and he's playing, but you can't count on him for a whole season, unfortunately. Trey Benson might be the most talented running back in the draft, but he had some injuries that he's coming back from. There's still question marks there. Outside of Marvin Harrison, what do you have for receivers? The offensive line is a bit of a question mark. They could continue to improve and be a solid unit, or they could take a step back. There's really not enough data there to tell you which way that's going to go. And then the defense, I think, will be solid. I think calling them a defense that finishes somewhere between 15 and 20 wouldn't be out of the question because of how good of a coach Gannon is. But I don't think there's enough talent on that defense to carry him any higher than 15. So when you start putting all that together, it sounds to me like it's going to be another rebuilding year that team is truly going to figure out what pieces they keep and what pieces they can move on from and where they need to improve to where next year I could see the Cardinals being a playoff contender. I don't see that this year, though. Again, we'll look at the schedule just off the top of my head. I would be surprised if the Cardinals get to 5 wins, especially being in that division, where I could see the Seahawks easily finishing with anywhere from 8 to 11 wins, depending on what their schedule looks like and how we break that down. So I think there is a definitive, clear difference between 4th and 3rd place in this division. Cardinals will be last. Seattle will be 3rd. And then I think you get the 2 top dogs that will each be fighting for. I'm not going to say that they'll be fighting for the division. I think it's San Francisco's to lose. But I think the Rams, after what they did last year and being able to improve on that, They added some pieces, but they did lose Aaron Donald, which is going to be huge. I don't care what anybody says. You're not replacing that on the defensive side of the ball. But that offense will move with everybody they've got there between Stafford and Puka and Cooper and Kieran Williams, and now adding Blake Corum and all of the stuff that they're going to have. And then again, Sean McVay might be the best head coach in the league. So I believe they'll be in the playoffs. The Rams will finish second in the division. My question is do the Rams finish 7th, 6th, or 5th? Where do they fall in that wild card seeding? Because that will be huge for them, because there's a legit situation where they could be facing the 49ers in week 1 of the playoffs. And if let's just say San Francisco sweeps the series this season, beating a team 3 times in 1 year in the NFL, those aren't good percentages.
I mean,
in
I don't
NFL
see
history, they're not good percentages.
I don't see the 49ers not having a 1 seed.
A 1 and a bye. I agree. I'm just saying there is a situation with the Packers and the Eagles. There's a situation where the 49ers could not get the 1 seed. And it could be these 2 teams playing in the first round. And that would be a pretty crazy matchup because, again, history and numbers say beating a team 3 times in the NFL 1 season is a very high ask. And that would make a very interesting start to the playoffs. But while I think, again, Seattle's talent on the roster is slightly better than LA's, and a lot of that has to do with the defensive side of the ball, not the offensive side of the ball. Because on the offensive side of the ball, I think I would be hard-pressed to not put LA over Seattle. But then when I move to that defensive side of the ball, I would give Seattle the edge. But when you look at overall roster and head coach, we saw what McVay was able to do with that team last year when everybody thought it was going to be a rebuild year.
Dude, that draft they had last year was
Killer.
Just amazing.
And
amazing.
By all accounts, they had another good draft this year. So
let me check my notes real quick. Bro. Yeah, their first 4 picks.
Yeah.
I'm in total love with. They got Jared Verse and Brandon Fisk from Florida State, teammates on the D line.
Yep.
They got Blake Corum, which behind Kieran Williams, that's pretty awesome. And then one of my guys who I think may have been the best safety in the draft of Cam Kitchens at safety. I think they hit it out of the park again.
Yeah, fully agree. So what Les Snead and Sean McVay do, I will never doubt again. I will never question again. And I will believe forever that every year they are contenders. Super Bowl contenders, maybe not, but at least playoffs for sure. So it's going to be real fun to watch and see what that team does over the next couple of years, because they are getting younger and they are building and adding talent. The problem is that quarterback position and Matt Stafford. He's aging and he wants a new contract. So how do they handle that, and what do they do?
They already announced it today. They're giving him more money.
I know they haven't come out with the specifics. They just said generalization so that he would come back to camp. So obviously there's enough there that he trusts that he's going to get his dollars. But still, what is he, 36 now? 37?
He's 36.
So you could get another maybe 2, maybe 3 years of solid play out of Stafford. But he is starting to get nicked up and banged up. He's got that elbow injury. And if that starts lingering and his arm talent starts diminishing, that could be a big issue for them. And they don't have a quarterback in waiting or anything right now.
Which is why he wants more guaranteed money, because he doesn't have that much guaranteed money left on his deal.
Exactly.
All right, this is off topic, and it's not really dealing with the division we're talking about, but we should absolutely address the CeeDee Lamb situation.
Oh, that'll be after this. Yeah.
In a sec. That's good.
Yeah. There's a couple things that need to be addressed, so we'll discuss that. Absolutely. So that's where I have LA sitting 2. I will say, moving over to San Francisco a little bit here, their roster is insanely talented, but there are question marks everywhere when it comes to injury. Everywhere. So if San Francisco has a couple major injuries, don't be surprised if somehow LA jumps them in the division because they were able to stay healthy.
The 49ers depth isn't great. And I think it's fair to mention a lot of teams get a Super Bowl hangover, right? Get to the Super Bowl, all that hard work, and then something happens the following season. The 49ers are fun to watch, and what's so interesting about the 49ers is George Kittle's getting up there in age, and he's due a new deal. You got Debo, who they paid a lot of money to. You've got Ayuk, who's on the last year of his deal. And you've got an aging Trent Williams as well. Like, that Super Bowl window is, and that's not to mention they got to pay Purdy next year. So that Super Bowl window is closing a little bit. This is the time to hit. This is the time to go. That's why Ayuk isn't going anywhere.
Well, exactly. They've also got some issues on that defense that they could be losing. So,
future-wise, yes.
So it is one of the, and that's why I laugh when anybody's like, "Oh, they're trading Ayuk." The hell they are. They will be plenty happy going through this season with this roster and winning a Super Bowl and letting him walk next year.
No. He doesn't walk next year. They slap the franchise tag on him and trade him.
You know exactly what I mean.
They're
not
going
to franchise tag him.
Yes, they will. They'll do the same thing that the Panthers just did with Brian Burns. They franchise tagged him and then they traded him. That's exactly what they're going to do. They're not going to lose him for nothing. There's nobody else that they need a franchise tag. They're going to get Purdy signed. So there's nobody else to use the tag on.
It's dollars and cents, but it doesn't make any sense to franchise tag him because if you can't trade him, you got to pay him.
They're going to trade him.
I think they'll trade him. I'm just saying, I think they would be more than happy if they went through this season.
They have to franchise tag him to trade him because he's a free agent after this season.
You're not listening to me. You're not. Go ahead.
When are they? You just said they're going to trade him. When are they going to trade him? They're not trading him this year?
I did not say. I said they would be more than happy if they went through this season and won a Super Bowl and he walked. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. I'm just saying their mindset right now is Super Bowl or bust. So if it somehow turns out that at the end of the season they have a Super Bowl title and then Ayuk is not on the team next year, they're not going to be mad about it.
He's not on the team next year because they're not going to pay him. But
they could move Debo and pay him. Debo's older. Why not move Debo if you can and keep Ayuk?
I don't know if anybody wants that Debo contract.
I'm just saying. And it goes back to, and Pinky and I have gone back and forth on this, and for those of you that have listened are very well aware of my thoughts. I'm good with going all in, winning a Super Bowl, and then rebuilding for the next 10. And letting that be your model as a franchise. I feel like that's the mindset San Francisco has going into this year. They would be cool if they won a Super Bowl and then the whole roster blew up at the end of the season and they had to start over. That's not going to happen. Okay? Lynch and Shanahan and everybody else are smart enough where they will keep a very talented roster still, okay? I just mean in the grand scheme of things, the big picture, whatever you want to call it. If they kept Ayuk this year, they didn't franchise tag him, they used that money somewhere else, and he just walked for nothing next year, I don't think they'd be mad. In fact, I think they'd be totally okay with that situation. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. I think they'll franchise and they'll trade him. They'll get something for him, a second and a fifth, nothing major, because whatever team takes him has to pay him a lot of money. So, but who knows? Maybe I don't see them getting a deal done with him and Purdy at the same time. Like, that's not going to happen. So,
I personally, Pinky, just don't see the wide receiver market being strong enough for somebody to take that on with what you can get in the draft these days and the ability of coming out and getting the cheaper deal with arguably the same level of talent. I don't see anybody in the position that would need a wide receiver trading for him at that dollar.
That's where I would go. I would go to the draft every year. I wouldn't really. I'm not paying Ayuk $30 million like he wants. Like
right, and that's why, in all honesty, I don't see them franchise tagging him because then they'd be foot with the bill.
Well, franchise tag would be less than $30 million. I think they'd be okay with that. But again, he's a free agent after this year.
What would it be, honestly, though? It's like 25, 24, somewhere in there.
I think it's 24, 25. But again, if they don't franchise him, then he walks and they get nothing. So
I know. I'm just, man, I don't know.
If you don't have anybody else that you need to franchise tag, why not franchise tag him and then move him? You get less
salary
draft,
cap and everything else that goes into that. It's a lot.
but you don't. But if you
It's a
trade
lot of
him, you
moving
don't have
parts.
to account for
There's a
that
lot
money.
of moving parts.
So, CeeDee Lamb not showing up to training camp, Robert, as he shouldn't. Him and if I'm Micah Parsons, I don't show up and play another down for the Cowboys until they pay me.
Absolutely.
He is outplayed his current contract. He is eligible for an extension right now. I am not stepping on that field, even the practice field, if you don't give me more money. And again, a lot of fans will hate that, but these players, if they hurt themselves, they lose a lot of money that they cannot get back.
What happened the last time a Dallas player held out?
Zeke?
Educate me.
He got overpaid.
And what else?
I don't know.
Came
He
into
got
camp out
overpaid.
of shape. The start of his decline as a player. The team didn't have a great year. It was an epic downfall.
I mean, I think they still made the playoffs. They just weren't great. But
Jerry and Steven are putting themselves in the exact same situation again.
But I think they learned that you don't invest in the running back position.
They just need to invest in something.
Doesn't matter what
period.
position it is.
But
they haven't learned from their mistakes when it comes to contract negotiations and players.
Do you want to pay CeeDee Lamb between 30 and 35 and then have to look at paying Dak 60? And then have to pay Micah Parsons 30 because he's going to want more than Nick Bosa.
Yeah, but here's the problem. You have to pay Dak if you pay CeeDee. Otherwise, you paid CeeDee for no reason, and you're not going to get the production out of him for that dollar because you're not going to have a quarterback that can throw the ball to him. Dallas has screwed themselves and put themselves in a position where their backs are against the wall, and their only option is to pay everybody that wants a contract right now and then screw themselves in 2 years.
Right. Unfortunately, they drafted CeeDee 1 year, Micah Parsons the next. Very unfortunate because CeeDee Lamb has put up numbers like the top wide receivers, and Micah Parsons has put up numbers like one of the best defenders in the league. Very unfortunate for them.
But
and then
also,
on top of that, Dak's contract came up too. So they're in a really bad situation.
It's also the way they do business, though. The way Jerry and Steven do business, their players don't take hometown discounts. They don't take team-friendly deals. Again, we'll go back to Patrick Mahomes. When that deal came out and everybody heard $500 million, they said, no way he's worth it. That is the worst deal in sports history. And 2 years later, all those same people are saying that was the greatest quarterback deal in the history. It gave the Chiefs so many options. There's so much room in that contract for them to still sign other players and this, that, and the other.
Well, they just come back and they redo it, give him money up front, and then
But because of the way
end.
Jerry does business, his players never do those kinds of deals. Ever. In fact, the Dak deal that he last signed was probably the worst quarterback deal ever signed by a team because it paid him top dollar, gave him all the leverage, gave him a no trade clause and a no franchise clause. That's an awful deal for a team to make to a player.
He actually doesn't have a no franchise clause, but his franchise number would be pretty tremendous.
I thought it was a no franchise clause.
No, but he's already been franchised once. So if they franchised him again, it would cost him even more.
No, because it has to be back-to-back years for that to add up, I thought. Yeah, it's an escalating scale for the franchise clause.
I can hear him. So why are you wearing headphones?
His contract includes a no franchise tag clause and a no trade clause.
There you go.
Hi, Hannah.
Hannah
Did you
says
hear me?
hi.
Did you hear me?
Did she? Yeah, I heard you. He has a no contract clause.
No, Pinky, did you hear me?
Sure.
No franchise clause in his contract currently, along with no trade. Dallas can't do anything. They have zero leverage. And for anybody out there, I'm going to say it. For anybody out there that thinks Dak isn't a top 5 quarterback, I'm sorry. I don't think you know what you're talking about. I just don't. He doesn't lose in the playoffs because of his play. When the defense is allowing 30 plus, your head coach
And
doesn't
getting
have
shown
any clue
up
what
at
he's
home
doing.
by Green Bay.
I'm sorry. Dak is a really damn good quarterback. And there's a reason CD's getting paid. And yes, it's because he's talented. But if you didn't have a crazy talented quarterback throwing him the ball, he wouldn't have the numbers he has. So I do believe now, if you want to argue with me who the top 5 are, I'm not going to sit here and be mad about it. I'm just saying if you have Dak as one of the top 5, I'm not going to argue that either. I think there's a very easy case to be made for putting him in there. But there's a lot of good quarterbacks at the top of the league right now. So that's a changing and shifting list. I get that. But I think he's well within that conversation.
If you want to argue that, I'll listen to that argument. I don't think he's top 5, but
Tell
he's not
me, and
too
I'm not
far
trying
outside of that.
I'm not trying to poke the bear on this one. I'm just trying to get some insight.
Well, I'll take
why
Mahomes.
do you believe he's not within that realm?
I'll take Mahomes, Allen, Burrow. I'll take Lamar. I'll take CJ Stroud, even at this point, over Dak. I think Dak has to have a lot of things going well around him to be successful. I don't see him as that guy that if you take CD Lamb away, if he got hurt for 5 weeks, they're going to be pretty fucking awful.
Don't do that. Do what I always tell you to do. Put all those other quarterbacks on Dallas and Dak on one of those other teams. You think they still do as well?
I do.
And you think Dak does worse on the other teams?
I just like, is Dak top 10? Sure. Is he top 5? No.
You don't think Buffalo or Baltimore or Houston does as well with Dak as they do with their own guys?
No.
I wouldn't think so.
I've seen Dak fail multiple times that are his own fault, where he makes mistakes when he shouldn't be. It's not all the defense. It's not all coaching. Sometimes it's Dak too. He owns that blame just like other guys do. I think Dak is good, but he's not a guy that covers warts. And when you pay a guy that kind of money, you want him to cover warts, and he doesn't do it.
When your defense averages to the other team 30 plus in every playoff game Dak's played.
But every playoff game they've played, they don't do anything on offense for at least the first half.
That is coaching and scheme. That is not player. That's how I see it. I don't see it as a player issue because the entire offense is struggling. But at the same time, what you're saying is not it's not ridiculous. It's not far-fetched. You're basing a lot of what you're saying in fact, and I'm not going to absolve Dak from all blame by any means. He's had some bad situations. He's thrown some bad balls at inopportune times. But if I'm putting a pecking order, coaching, defense, Dak, as far as blame, is how I would rank that. I mean, again, your defense is giving up 30 plus in every playoff game you played. I can't think of a lot of quarterbacks that are overcoming that.
Not everyone, because they've played the 49ers twice, and the 49ers didn't score 30 points.
Let me try to find the exact stat. There's something like the Dallas defense averages 30 points to their opponents in all of Dak's playoff games. It's something along those lines. I'll see if I can find it while you discuss.
Like I said, Dak's top 10. He's just not top 5. I'll take multiple quarterbacks over him any day of the week, twice on Sunday. And I definitely am not giving him $60 million. So, but again, the fear of the unknown. If the Cowboys give him $60 million, I can't fault them. It's like Trevor Lawrence getting 55. I wouldn't give him 55, but fear of the unknown.
It's also the market. Like, unfortunately, it's just what it is. Next guy up always gets paid more than maybe he should.
That is true, but at some point, teams have to say no. Can we take that $60 million and put that somewhere else and bring in a quarterback that's either a Sam Darnold or even a rookie and still get similar results? The teams are going to have to start making those tough decisions. But
I still think To me, the way the NFL has set up themselves with salary cap and everything else that they've done to create competitive balance, which I think they've done a phenomenal job of, to create a word that people hate, but parity. I think the next step is placing specific cap limits on positional salaries.
That's been brought up.
I told you this a couple years ago. That's how I would fix it. There is some actual discussion about it on a national media level now. I'm starting to hear some people start talking about this idea.
Oh, I've heard Florio talk about it. I've heard it has been brought up to the NFL PA, or maybe the NFL has brought it up, not the NFL PA, but the NFL has brought it up because they're trying to find a way that they can stop this from continuing to escalate.
I can't find the exact stat right now. I apologize, but
because if you got a quarterback making 60 and the top 9 quarterbacks making 30 million, like, ooh, that's a pretty big difference.
But now, see, if we're going to talk about that as far as pay is concerned, then you got to involve Kirk Cousins at some point because I wouldn't consider him a top 5 quarterback.
No, not at all.
No, Cousins is a brilliant businessman.
Highly.
He's a brilliant businessman who is arguably the only athlete in the history of sports who bet on himself and actually won.
Sure. Absolutely. 100%, Caleb. I agree with that.
So what's happened, Robert, is Kirk Cousins has become a free agent at very opportune times where he's been able to maximize his value, even though he's not probably worth that value. Good for him.
Sure.
Good for him. But again, it comes back to...
But if we're going to talk about salary, then you have to include that.
The NFL owners, which would be considered collusion, which they're not allowed to do under the antitrust laws, would have to get together and say, we have to say no to these quarterbacks at some point. But
Will it ever happen? No.
No, because there's fear. If I don't pay this guy who's pretty good, what happens next? And if I don't have a quarterback that's at least pretty good, we're going to be pretty awful.
Which the Falcons are already pretty awful. And they have 2 quarterbacks now.
The last 2 seasons, when they've had Desmond Ridder and the ghost of Matt Ryan and Taylor Heineke, yes, they had everything else. The coach wasn't awful. The defense was playing hard, and they had offensive talent, but they didn't have the quarterback. And that's where you get that fear of the unknown. We have to get a quarterback. Now, again, as we talked about, I don't see how Atlanta went in and was like, I'm going to give Kirk Cousins all this money, and then I'm going to draft a quarterback at 8.
I do. Fear. Like you just said, fear of not having a quarterback. I'd rather have 2 that I believe can play on my roster than none at all.
I know, but when you look at building your roster, salary cap constraints, you're losing out on the few years you have on a rookie deal by spending a lot of that money on Kirk Cousins.
You are. But again, maybe more teams should think this way. I'd rather win 1 and start rebuilding for a couple more years and then try again than do this. I want to be good but not great all the time like Dallas has done.
Now, we both agree. You go all in, you try to win that 1, but that doesn't always happen. It's not a guarantee you're going to win that 1. It's
absolutely correct, but
it's still hard to do.
Being good and never great doesn't guarantee you anything either. So I'd rather push my chips in and see what happens than sit there and watch my pile slowly dwindle away on blinds.
I think most owners, though, are okay being good enough to make the playoffs every year and then have a chance at the Super Bowl versus pushing it all in and then sucking after. Because they have a good product that gives their fan base hope. Yes, they could win it all at one point. If things go their way, they get the right matchups, everything happens. But again, that's just the way. I mean, that's the Cowboys model, just being good enough to give their team hope every year and not winning at all. It works financially.
And
Yeah,
the
but that's
fans, don't forget about that.
That's the kicker, Pinky, is exactly what you said. If you're an owner, you did it the right way and you were smart and you came out and were actually honest with your fan base and said, here's what we're doing.
We're going to
This is
be
gonna
good,
our
but
business
suck.
model. When you suck, your fans are still going to be there to support you. They're not going to bail because they understand what you're doing, the mindset, the plan, the big ideas. They get where this is going, so they're not going to bail all of a sudden when you get back.
Where is Dallas going? They haven't gone anywhere.
Hold on. The true fans who understand how football works, but a lot of people who throw money into this are casual fans who are only there when teams are winning.
Right, but again, that's because owners don't come out and say, with all honesty, we're going in all in this year. And at the end of the season, we're going to have to tear down this roster and start over. But we are always going to try to do what it takes to win. Sometimes that just means we have to go to the bottom and build back up. If owners were honest with their fan base
Broncos.
about that process, the fans would always be there to come and support. I fully believe that. The problem is owners don't do that. They string fans along until it's too late, and then everybody bails. And then they come back after a couple of years when they start winning again. You could end that and not have to worry about them bailing if you just were honest with the plan and what you were trying to do. But again, you've said this word a lot, and I think it's a perfect thing to say, that fear prevents both the owners and the fans from taking that step. And I don't understand why, because again, the NFL has set you up to be able to go from worst to first in a 3-year time period if you're smart at what you're doing.
Hell, man, there's teams that go worst to first in 1 year.
So
it happens a lot.
You're right, it does. So the fact that that's embedded as basically a core value of what the NFL wants to be, I will never understand why somebody doesn't take advantage of that.
We are first take all over again. Somehow we talked about the Cowboys.
Well,
I blame Robert. I
brought up CeeDee Lamb. Screw you.
CeeDee Lamb needed to be
had
discussed.
relevance, and then you all took it off on your own spin.
I wouldn't say we're talking about the Cowboys exactly. We're using them more as an example, as a grand scheme idea of the complexities of the NFL. And
Wait, Caleb. Grand scheme idea. 20 years late there. The Cowboys have done nothing in 20 years, bro. Like, let's be real. Your big ass grand idea. Are we going to be fucking 60 by the time this shit happens?
Whoa, hold up. The Cowboys have come nothing close to what my big idea is.
So what are you fucking talking about for a great big idea as an example for the Cowboys? Because they apparently have none.
I don't know if you've been listening. There was no grand idea for the Cowboys. They're screwed.
They're screwed for the rest of time.
The Cowboys back themselves into a corner, and as long as Jerry continues to do business the way he's doing business, they're screwed. Because he refuses to do anything but stay in the middle. He'll pay a couple guys that he's drafted to stay on the team and keep some talent to be competitive enough. But he will never tear it down in such a way or go all in such a way that depletes his roster or depletes his bank account. Jerry will never do one or the other.
Fair enough. Although,
and because of that, he will always be sitting right in that middle spot where they're good enough to compete, but they're not good enough to win.
I say that with a caveat. Like the PSG of NFL football.
To an extent, yes. To an extent, yes. And that's actually a good example because PSG had all the talent in the world to go win the Champions League.
They had every talent
but there
in the world.
There were so many issues within the organization from ownership to management to coaching that it didn't work. And that's exactly what Dallas is. Dallas has had the talent to win it all. They have.
They could have done it last year.
But for whatever reason, they continue to be snake bitten. Continue to be snake. And we've talked about it before. The Romo situation, the Des Bryant no catch, that ridiculous play that Mike McCarthy said they practiced with 10 seconds left to make that play call. And not there are so many things where you're like, what are you doing? And you continue to do it. So for whatever reason, they're snake bitten. And Jerry keeps doing business a certain way where he came out at the end of the season and said, I'm going all in. And then he went into this offseason and did absolutely nothing.
It's his all in, man.
You
He's
cannot.
not paying anybody.
That's what I'm saying.
Everybody's playing on this contract, and we'll figure it out at the end of the year.
Also, we hit Pinky's time, so sorry, Pinky.
So yeah, I'm not saying big idea for Dallas in any way, Robert. I'm saying they're screwed because of the way they continue to do business. My big idea though is in the NFL, I fully believe you can win a Super Bowl one year by going all in with everything, tear it down, and be right back in that position again within 5 years. And you can do that over and over and over again.
There have been teams that have done it, I'm sure.
Nobody's done it. Pinky, nobody's done it.
I mean, at the moment, I don't think they're at the point where they can win it all, but the Rams have done it.
I was gonna say
they've only done it once. That's what I'm saying.
Right,
It's not a cycle. It hasn't been a team
repeat.
philosophy.
No.
Now it might be now with Les Snead going and the way Sean McVay and him are doing it.
But again,
I would be surprised though if they ever said F them picks again.
I could see them saying that, but I feel like they're at the point with Matt Stafford towards the end of his career that I don't think they could. If they say F them picks again, they'll be gone with picks. They've already, they would lose most of their salary cap. Then again, you're betting on a 38, 39-year-old quarterback to win it all. That's a tough bet.
I mean, if we're being honest, keep an eye on the Chiefs because they're kind of low-key doing that right now. They've just managed to draft really well and continue to replenish what they were losing. And they've been really smart about what they're doing.
The Chiefs will be like the outcome for them over the next few years will be what does things look like when they lose their Hall of Fame tight end, their Hall of Fame defensive tackle, and Andy Reid.
Yep, absolutely.
What happens when those three things leave? Because Patrick Mahomes may still be playing. Now, again, with as many kids as he's having, he's not going to play till 45 like Brady.
Like, he have two?
Three. Third one's on the way.
Why do his kids matter on how long he plays?
I mean,
he said he wants to be there for his kids.
Phillip Rivers seemed to handle it okay.
Okay.
And what did he do?
He
Nothing.
wants the money more.
Well, he has 11 kids, so it's.
And I mean,
top
Tyreek
five, top 5 all-time passing yards. I mean, not a bad career, not a great franchise.
no, because he was stuck at the Chargers.
So I think the Chiefs right now are the team I am most interested in looking at long term to see how they handle what they're putting together. There's a good chance we could see them win this Super Bowl this year, and if they three-peat, that whole roster could get torn down outside of Mahomes, Kelsey, and the guys they have on their rookie deals right now.
Kelsey's almost done. He's almost a 35-year-old tight end. Like
he'll be there next year. Kelsey will play next year. I fully believe he'll be there next year.
Unless he gets Taylor Swift pregnant, then that's a whole other story.
I mean, that ends her touring. That doesn't have anything to do with his.
Let's be real. He's a bitch. Taylor Swift owns him.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, Robert.
I'm not saying I would love to be owned by Taylor Swift. I don't give a shit. But let's be real. The power dynamic in that relationship is Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I don't see it that way.
Oh, I absolutely do.
I think the reason she's with Travis is because of who Travis is. I don't see him changing that.
And he's a mama.
But I don't feel like he tries to take over or anything either.
He's just who he is.
And that's why Taylor controls that relationship.
I don't think Taylor's much of a. Based on everything I've heard about her, I don't think that's her personality. I think that's why they work so well together and why I actually kind of like the relationship, because I feel like they're actually just two people who are chill and cool and understand life is supposed to be fun, and that's how they both handle it. I feel like if Taylor ever put her foot down, it would be something Travis wouldn't be cool with. That's just the kind of feel I get from him and his personality.
That's fair. I will say shotgunning a beer at your college graduation wasn't a good look, but...
What? I think that's an awesome look.
No.
College is a joke, man.
Maybe here.
No, everywhere. College. I would not recommend college for most people if you're trying to make it in life.
I don't know, bro.
I could be exactly where I am now without ever paying for college.
Maybe in America, sure.
In the rest
Not-
of the world, bro.
No way.
It's a piece of paper.
Yeah, you
No.
don't need college elsewhere in the world. It's literally America.
Yeah, based on my experiences and my friends and people I know, the college degree is not what put them where they are. In fact, most of them don't even mention that they have it.
I mean, half the time
So,
it's who you know. Let's be real.
It's
all about
college-
connections.
College is no longer about learning. It's about indoctrination, in my opinion.
College is a joke.
So,
That's why I didn't go. I don't have a degree because of that exact freaking reason.
yeah, I think there
a
could be a lot of good
waste.
things from college. I don't think that's the case now. I think, especially from my experience, there is no longer open discussion on a college campus. It is a very much one-sided thought process, and if you're not part of that thought process, you will be on the outside looking in.
I think, this again is way off topic, but college, if you go away to college, one, it makes you a little bit of independent. Like you're not in your parents' house doing laundry and making meals, having mom make meals for you. And then two, I do believe it helps out with problem solving. That's something that you learn in college. Now, again, there's a lot of regurgitation. Learn all this, regurgitate it on the test, and then move on to the next class. That doesn't really do you any good, but that's how they set up the system. But I do think you learn some independence, and then you learn a little bit about problem solving.
I don't disagree with you there. I also think you can gain a lot of great social skills from college because of the amount of interaction you have with people outside of your normal walk of life.
Right.
100%. I would absolutely agree with that. Now,
So
however,
in those aspects, college is great. The problem is the final outcome of the reason you're actually there, I think, has lost its way drastically.
which is why you take a gap year and go to Europe, everybody.
That would be smart. I said all
What
that,
I
though,
did.
to actually bring it back around to the football conversation, Pinky.
Yes.
In the sense that this indoctrination is what the NFL is notorious for. This square peg round hole that we have talked about for years. This recycling of coaches that should no longer have a job. The NFL has a very much college feel in the sense that people are scared to break the mold. But the ones that you do see break the mold do seem to have success a lot of the times, to the point where other teams start emulating that and it becomes the new norm. So again, that is one of the reasons why I am so surprised you do not see more teams trying to break the mold and do their own thing to see whether or not it can work.
The hive mind
Fear.
works together.
Fear, you're right. And it comes back to that. And somebody has to be willing to say, yeah, I'm scared, but I'm going to try it anyways and see what happens. I'm willing to try something new to see if I can be successful.
All right, you know what? Here's a question. When was the last coach that was really ballsy and did something like that?
I mean, McVay comes to mind.
I'm not talking. We've already talked about how. I mean, I would agree with that, no matter what. But outside of McVay, because he's an anomaly.
I mean, Belichick's always done his own thing, period.
Yeah,
Drafted
that was the
guys
next
you
one I was
never
gonna
heard
say. I
of.
was trying to think of something outside of Belichick.
Let stars go right before their decline. Never overpaid for anybody. Like, yeah, he did things his own way. That, again, which is why when you look at his coaching tree, nobody else has been good out of his coaching tree. They've all been awful. So,
I will also say, Robert, I think it's hard to pinpoint a coach, because in order for that coach to be able to break the mold, the franchise, the organization, the ownership has to be willing to allow that coach to break the mold.
The GM and the owner above him also have to sign off on that.
So would you say that at some point in time here that someone's going to have to do that?
No, unfortunately, no, because the system has been in place for so long that while we're finally getting new blood replacing that good old boy, right now, it just feels like it's just a new good old boy coming in. And they'll be the good old boys for a while until they kind of get pushed out and moved.
So I could see some changes coming if they start allowing more private equity groups come in and own teams versus a singular owner.
Sure. I could see that. More voices at the top willing to listen and compromise on how they want to move forward as a group. Sure.
Also, take more risk.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Yes, that's where I was kind of going with that. Absolutely.
All right, boys. I think it's clear 49ers will win the NFC West. Rams will be right there. Seahawks, Arizona fighting 3 and 4. Boom. Closing thoughts.
I mean, I personally still think that the Seahawks are gonna not perform well. They're gonna need a little. They're gonna need a little blue pill to get going, I think. But that's just my opinion.
We'll see. We'll see when we get together and do the schedule prediction how that falls.
I'm ready, but I personally do not think that the Seahawks are gonna have anything to show for. They've got names, but they're not gonna have the organization.
Look, I'll say next week we finish our divisions with the AFC West. And then from there, it starts getting fun for the football people that want to follow us because we'll start talking fantasy. We'll start diving into more player-specific stuff because training camps will be open. There's already quite a few that have reported. And then you start breaking down into the start of the season and things of that nature. So we've got fantasy drafts. We've got player comp. We've got our schedule release that will come out the first leg of the season. Why am I getting a thumbs down right now? What did I do?
I don't know. Robert and I will have a training camp preview from Broncos training camp for next week.
Wait,
Saturday's
hold up.
coming.
Back up a minute. Totally off topic. How do you even give a thumbs down? Where does that even come from?
I don't know. How'd you get a thumbs down, bro?
You didn't see it pop up on the screen?
I did. You did something. I don't know. I think it's your iPad because we never get balloons or thumbs up or anything.
You're just
it's only you,
Caleb. We've accepted the fact that you get all the praise, and we're just here to support you.
Like I would love to do something and get fireworks.
I would love
all that matters.
I would love
your role
and a like, but that's not my role in life at the moment. I'm getting the shaft from everybody, so.
Easy, Robert.
Hey, if I can't make fun of my own life, what good am I? Like,
look,
easy,
I always thought the little bubbles that popped up were just for the podcast. I didn't think they were specific to me.
It's only in your window. It's only in your
you,
window.
buddy. It's
so
not
how does that
anyone
happen?
else.
It's got to be Apple, bro.
You tell us,
huh?
Mr. I need likes and balloons.
I'm the only one that has an Apple. Neither one of you guys are on an Apple.
I'm on a laptop.
I'm on an actual PC. Don't even.
I know that. I know that.
I built this mofo, and it is my pride and joy.
Oh my gosh!
That's
Clayton
weird
joined in at like the last minute.
I want to know where these come from. I want to know where they come from. I used to think it was Facebook, but now we're getting a thumbs down. That's not Facebook. That's not. Facebook doesn't allow that kind of rating.
Clayton, since you may be the only person listening right now, what is one topic you want to discuss for the last 2 minutes of the show?
And Clayton, come back next week because you'll actually hear some Broncos conversation.
Right. AFC West. AFC West.
Oh.
And Robert and I are going to training camp Saturday. So we'll have a whole breakdown.
Brewers.
We can't talk Brewers. It's fine.
Oh, Clayton.
He really
I will tell you that they're as little as I want to talk about it, they are playing better than I would say most people thought they would be at the beginning of the season. So there's that for you.
Remember when the Sky Sox were the filler team to the Brewers?
I don't remember that at all.
That was for like 2 seasons. And then we became AA.
That did happen, actually.
Thank you, Caleb.
Yeah, that did happen.
I know my sports, Pinky.
Yeah, Rockies disavowed them because they didn't want a AAA team at Elevation, and then they moved their AAA team to Albuquerque, which is the exact same basic.
They moved
elevation.
their AAA to San Antonio.
No, after Albuquerque. After. Yeah.
No, it went right from the Springs to San Antonio.
That did not happen. No.
Or at least the Sky Sox team moved.
The Sky Sox team moved to Albuquerque, and then they disavowed them and picked a whole new affiliate to associate themselves with, which is just another reason why the Rockies are such an awful organization.
I'm going to have to fact check you. Come up with something else, Clayton.
I think we're good. Wait.
Colorado Springs Sky Sox was a AAA affiliate and moved to San Antonio in the 2019 season. Boom.
That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the Colorado Rockies AAA affiliation.
Well,
they moved their AAA affiliation to Albuquerque.
Yeah, nobody cares about the Rockies. I thought we talked about that already. Brownie, who's Brownie Jr.?
I'm not
Is there
sure.
a Brownie Jr. out there?
Unless he's talking about Brawny Jr.
Nobody cares about Brawny Jr. That's all nepotism. Move on.
It's not nepotism. I'm tired of hearing that.
He sucks.
He doesn't, actually.
He sucks, and if he wasn't LeBron's kid, he wouldn't have gotten drafted.
Absolutely not true, Pinky. He's got better Summer League numbers than Jaylen Brown did when he was in Summer League as a rookie. I don't want to hear this bullshit about nepotism.
Bronny James is a G League player at best.
That's ridiculous. I thought you would come farther in your basketball evaluation and talent than spitting nonsense
that dude
in
is
the national media.
Garbage. He is garbage.
He's going to be a 3-and-D guy, solid. At a minimum,
he'll be a D. He'll be a D, and that's it in the G League.
Nope, dude, man. Thought you would come further than the national media spew.
I'm pleading the fifth because I don't know shit.
But I said Bronny was going to be doing that when he was still in high school. So I haven't had to change my tune at all.
He sucks, man. Sorry.
Again, better numbers in Summer League than Jaylen Brown.
Which doesn't mean a whole lot.
Jaylen Brown?
The finals MVP for the Celtics.
Okay. Now I know who you're talking about.
Just saying. Finals MVP had worse numbers than him in Summer League. Think it's a little ridiculous to say Bronny James isn't a good basketball player.
All right, my man.
I think this might be the first time Clayton and I have ever agreed. So cheers, my dude, because he's usually not happy with my Broncos takes. Well, on that note, good people, next week, AFC West final division. There will be some Olympic conversation discussion next week for sure because the games will have started. So there will be a little bit of Robert and I discussing things that we're looking for, things that we're excited for, things to keep an eye on. We'll try to give you a little bit of a rundown on things to come.
Don't watch it on NBC if you can. Find some other ways to watch it. The internet is wonderful.
You either watch it live on the USA and NBC Sports kind of stuff during the day, or you turn off your social media feeds and watch it at night. If you're that serious.
You can watch it on Peacock, can't you?
It's an 8-hour difference, so keep that in mind.
I haven't looked into it enough, Pinky, to be perfectly honest with you, because NBC has literally been the worst sports coverage I've ever seen for any event when it comes to the Olympics over the last couple of sessions.
They've been awful.
So I haven't looked into it enough this year.
I'm pretty sure.
No matter what,
I mean, whatever's on NBC is on Peacock, so you can probably catch it on Peacock later.
With their coverage. So what they usually do,
yeah,
is they don't report it or show it in a time. Usually what happens is every major sports media outlet is reporting the results before NBC's even aired anything.
If you open the Peacock app, like the first thing that pops up is Olympics, and there's tons of stuff in there. So
yeah, but they don't usually air the prime stuff on there. They keep that off, and then they air it on prime time on the primary channels is what they've been doing.
I mean, I could care less. I won't be watching, so it's fine.
You could
So-
care less or you couldn't care less.
Keep that in mind. I don't.
I'm sorry,
There's
it's
not
9:35.
really.
Time for
There's
me
not
to
really
talk.
anything else going on. So that's kind of where we're headed. I would say 2-3 weeks, Pinky, we'll be looking at doing a fantasy draft. Won't be. We usually do that as a separate show. But something we do.
That's September 3rd.
Is that when we're doing that one with the Vampire League?
Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday the 3rd.
Okay. So that's when that'll be coming up. So that's a little over a month out. But we'll start talking a lot of fantasy. We'll start breaking down positions, things of that nature, because when you're breaking down fantasy stuff, you're really just talking about the actual NFL and positional rankings and things of that nature anyways. So we like to tie it together. We think it's fun. We enjoy fantasy. Beyond that, there's not going to be a whole lot else going on unless some major, free agency or trade or something happens within basketball. Baseball, unless something major happens, we won't really start talking about that until last couple weeks of August when the playoff picture starts forming. We'll go from there.
All right. Love everyone. Enjoy your family and friends.
On that note, don't waste those opportunities. Take advantage of those moments you have with that inner circle, loved ones, family, friends, whatever you consider them to be. Cherish those moments as much as you can. We appreciate everybody for supporting us in any shape, way, or form that you do. Until next week. Cheers. We're out. Appreciate you.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Simcoe's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east.